Thank y'all. The marathon continue. Victory lap tonight, though.
Victory lap tonight.
Welcome to the One Talk podcast with Ryan McCarthy.
The marathon continues. That's what you would say.
Today's episode is sponsored by TNC Metal Roofing. TNC Metal Roofing is a small family-owned business constantly striving to outdo competition on quality, appearance, and providing the most cost-effective roofing solutions. All aspects of metal roofing, from new roofs, re-roofs, fascia, and gutter-to-wall cladding. With many builders and private clientele, they are slowly growing to be the next big contender in North Brisbane. TNC stated they are loving the work One Talk does throughout the community and beyond, highlighting mental health is a major thing and often swept under the rug within the building industry, and they want to make it a topic. Never any project TNC will shy away from, and the mental health of their employees is always at the forefront. So check the link in this bio. You can find their website, you can find their Instagram. Please go show the love, go show the support. Also, if you need any roofing work done, I highly recommend hitting them up. They are the best in the business on Brisbane, and I highly recommend checking them out.
Welcome to the One Talk podcast, Tayla. How are you?
Thanks, Ryan. I'm doing great. It's nice to be here for a second time.
Yeah, I know, for a second time. It's good to have you back. How long ago was the other one that we recorded? Maybe a little over 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years ago now.
Yeah. Blows my mind how quick time goes. And to think, because I don't think I've seen you much really since then, which is interesting too. So we've probably got a lot of things to catch up on then. I'm sure there's been a lot of shifts and changes in your life as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The last 2 years I've grown and changed a lot, and I have a lot more to share.
Yeah. So I know, to begin with, do you want to just share a little bit about yourself? No pressure, no like big spotlight type thing, but you know, just any context around yourself that you think, I guess, will provide a bit of an idea of yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I spent the last, I'd say, 5 years in the personal development space, working on myself. I was a breathwork teacher, yoga teacher, facilitator, and I've transitioned now into mostly doing like mental health work, so counselling, support work. I'm also a creative and a facilitator. I still facilitate, but right now I'm really passionate about helping women develop a relationship with themselves, with their self-worth, and also with God.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, there's a lot to dive into there. Like, to begin with, why is it, or what's the purpose and the mission behind wanting to help women?
Oh, juicy question. My own personal journey, with my self-worth. So I'd say it started probably within that 5-year period. I was seeking things outside of myself for a long time, seeking external validation, seeking some sort of answers as to why I felt so disconnected from myself, from my heart. And through the journey of yoga and breath work and looking to all of these modalities outside of myself and looking to relationships as well, I started to realize that I had low self-worth. I didn't feel love for myself. I didn't feel connected to who I was being. And I just continued walking on that path and slowly discovering more and more about myself. It's
interesting when we do go out and try to seek those things in the external. It's interesting because we feel like that's going to fill a void, or maybe that's how we find ourselves. But in the midst of all that, that's when we end up losing ourselves, when we try and pursue things of the world rather than bringing it back to ourselves. Like you said, once you start doing things like breath work and yoga and probably mindfulness practices and started sitting within, that's probably when you started to, I guess, to get a bit more of a compass of life, do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for me, I was getting too good at sitting within. So I was always just like in meditation or in the next ceremony or in like always within, after seeking externally for so long, that I almost then became disconnected from the physical world as well. So like it was almost two polar opposites. So for me, it's like a journey of integration and coming into wholeness rather than being in one extreme of external or the other extreme of being like always within, always seeking within. So it's sort of like a dance, I feel,
Yeah, I agree. I want to explore this as well because it's definitely something that I relate with because I was similar. Like everything was, or most of the things that I was doing was all external. And once I did find, the breath work and meditation and the stillness type things, the pendulum swung all the way to the other way. And I got to a point where I was just too still and like too, just not taking enough action in life because I was just so much just staying in that one spot. But then I found that I have to like find the way to find center in between the two. And it's a journey within itself to try and find that because you're like, all right, when am I going too hard? And then it's like, all right, when am I holding myself back too much? And it's constantly like evaluating and auditing your own life. But it can also be an empowerment thing because it gives you a chance to reflect on yourself. So I guess you know where you're at in each point of your life.
Yeah.
But how did you find that transition of the pendulum swinging to too much stillness and then trying to find balance and center?
It was definitely challenging, and I think a big piece of that is coming back to my faith, and I stopped looking for answers constantly within myself or externally and started looking at deeper truths, and that's where I connected with God. And to give more context to that, I had seen patterns within myself over years, particularly in relationships, and I think that relationships are our greatest mirrors and they can teach us so much.
Definitely.
I was in an unhealthy relationship twice in my life, same patterns in each relationship. And for a while there, I wanted to blame the relationship or the other person and keep pointing fingers. And I would do all these practices thinking, oh, like I'm better because like I'm doing this practice and I'm committed to my self-growth and my development. Yet the lessons just kept coming up. And I was like, okay, well, something's not working here that I'm doing. And attaching my identity and my worth to all these practices is clearly not working for my relationships. So I had to get honest with myself about why those relationships kept coming up and why I was choosing them, why I was attracted to them. And that's when I had to look at myself, but also look at the fruits of my life around me. So that's sort of how I started to see the balance of externals and internals, just sort of mirroring each other. Have you had that type of self-awareness for most of your life? Is it something that you had to develop and work on? Because a lot of people can get stuck for a long time because I guess maybe they don't practice any practices that do get your brain thinking around self-awareness and maybe seeing things from a bigger picture. But for you, is self-awareness a natural thing or is it something that you have to work on? It's something I work on every single day. So I never had self-awareness when I was younger, particularly 18 to 20, I would say. I think I always had glimpses of, I'd say it's like conscientiousness, where I'd be like, oh, you're not doing the right thing, and it might be a gut feeling. But to actually develop self-awareness took a lot of practice, daily showing up, mistakes, self-reflection, being honest with myself, taking accountability. But it really started to escalate probably around the age of 20 after the first relationship breakdown, and seeing myself more painfully clearly, I suppose, after that experience. And then going into another relationship almost identical to the first experience, that I felt a duty, like a responsibility of really committing to deepening that self-awareness.
Like, because I know that can kind of be a, like, I guess ordinary is not the right word. I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use. But there is patterns like that in a lot of people where they enter back into relationships that are similar to the past one that they've been in before. But I guess I want to try and extrapolate some value for the listeners, because what's some of the things that I guess you do or that you, I guess, be aware of, especially when you do enter your next relationship, so you make sure that you don't end up in a relationship that you've already been in that have similar patterns of the ones that you're trying to avoid?
Where I'm at now, I always check in with God and what God has placed on my heart for the kind of relationship that He wants for me. And that's because I think that the heart can sometimes be deceptive in nature. Our hearts are beautiful things and they want what they want, but that also can be at our own detriment if we haven't done internal work to see the parts of ourselves that are attracted to those patterns. So I check in with God, and I've learned about what feels right early in dating. A lot of the online media calls it like red flags, like what red flags to look for. I more so look for green flags now. So things that...
Not just the negatives.
No, because we're all human, we're all flawed, but it's more so like, does this feel like a green flag to go ahead to go forward? But I also mostly look for compatibility in values, in morals, in beliefs, and I'd say integrity. So like doing the right thing and walking with embodiment rather than just saying something. So like actions over words. Yeah.
And it's good too, because I think a lot of times we can look for red flags, not just in relationships, but I guess most aspects of life. Like we tend to look at the negatives and we don't really tend to look at what the positives can come from these things. And I think that's an important thing to do, or a reminder for myself and probably listeners here too, is that when you are looking at maybe things that you want to manifest into your life, whether it's relationships, business, personal goals, like look at the green flags as well as the red flags. Like you don't want to just only focus on the negative, because I think that you can become really fixated on that.
Absolutely.
And then when you get too focused on the negative, I think that can play up in other areas of your life, in terms of you may start feeling anxious, you may feel overwhelmed or stressed, or you may feel like nothing's working for you, or you can't find the right person. But instead, if you look for the green flags and the things in life, I think you give yourself more of an opportunity to succeed in the thing that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And I think this also can come back to, again, our relationship with ourselves and our biases to look at problems and rather than positives. But also there's, in psychology, there's a lot of concepts that talk about, again, the mirror aspect, and something that's helped me to understand myself and the way that I saw people is something called parts work. I used to look at people in quite a fragmented lens, in sort of a projection of like black and white. So it's like they're all good or they're all bad. And we see this often in relationships, especially people who've experienced, say, trauma or mental health issues. It's like finding that safety to trust another person can be really challenging. And so through parts work, I've learned how to reclaim pieces of myself. So to give more context, parts work has a concept that we are all born whole, complete, and perfect, but we all have flaws as well. And along the way through development, these things happen in life. So projection from family or conditioning or trauma, and parts of our authentic self fragment. So they separate. And if those parts aren't reclaimed and healed to wholeness, we show up in life through that lens, through the fragmented lens of they're all bad, looking for red flags, or being reattracted to toxic patterns and unhealthy cycles. And so the more that we reclaim those parts and come back to wholeness within ourselves, we find a more authentic truth. And that's when we're able to start seeing the good more in others and also within ourselves.
I love that. But it's also like a demonstration of why it's important to self-reflect and do work on yourself, or also talk to someone who is a professional, someone that can help you. Because especially going back into environmental spaces where it's not serving you, myself in the past, I used to be so attracted to chaotic environments. Like I just,
Same.
like, it's just for some reason I used to thrive in chaotic environments, and as soon as things were calm, like that's when I would panic. Like I couldn't.
I'm bored.
Yeah, I'm
This is
bored.
boring.
Yeah, I need to do something crazy. Like I need to do a backflip or something like just nuts.
Jump out a plane.
That's literally the
Move
force.
to Italy.
Yeah. I know who did that.
I did that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because if I never started to do any work on myself or speak to someone, I would still be attracted to chaotic environments to the extent where I get myself in detriments in life. I think now I still am, attracted to chaotic environments, but now I make sure the chaotic environment is a controlled chaotic environment, not I'm just putting myself in the deep end and seeing if I can swim. It's more so like, all right, this is the setup. Maybe you're going to do extreme hectic workout, natural chaotic environment rather than being in a space where you don't belong. But I think that the important thing is once you start understanding yourself and start doing the healing work, and then you kind of then start understanding why you're doing the behaviors you're doing and why you feel comfortable in certain areas or why you feel discomfort in areas where you feel like you should feel comfort. But I think that just shows the importance of when you said when you start doing the healing.
Yeah, for sure. And inner chaos is a huge signal of often that disconnect that is spoken to at the start. And our nervous systems are wired to seek what's familiar. So if we were familiar with chaos in our childhoods, that is likely the blueprint of what we will seek in our relationships unless we do that inner work.
Yeah.
And again, it will be externally reflected as well in, things that keep popping up that feel like, why is my life so messy and chaotic? And a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time it is self-perpetuated within that cycle because the body doesn't know any different. And so this is when we need to start addressing on a deeper level why it keeps showing up, whether it's in relationships or workplaces. For me, it's been in both. It's been in all different areas of my life throughout growing up. And that's where we have that responsibility to look a little bit deeper and ask why.
Yeah, and that's why I dislike the idea of, because you see some people, I'm not sure if it's just an online thing or if it actually is like a train of thought that people have, but when you see on the news of like a DV relationship and it's about a partner that keeps going back to a DV relationship and people are online like, why are you so stupid? And quote, I'm doing that in quotes because it's not what I believe. But it's like you don't understand why people go back to those environments. Like it's a lot more than just that person's stupid. Like it's, rather reliability. It could be safety. It could be their environment they grew up in, which is, mold them where they don't feel like their self-worth and get them out of that situation. Or like I said, again, the safety, like there's so many different things that tie into it. And I don't know why I touched on that specifically, but it just came into my head and it's something that I saw recently. And I was like, things like that irritate me, and I think just to shed light on that topic and also that frame of mind of thinking like, why do these people go back to these situations rather than judging people?
Yeah, I see a lot of that too, and it makes me feel a lot of anger for the people in those positions because I'm sure they're asking themselves that as well, or beating themselves up for going back. I know I can speak for myself, having been in really unhealthy relationships. I've asked myself that question so many times and beat myself up about it, but that's actually further perpetuating feeling shame about the situation that the person is in. And there is, again, a self-responsibility to maybe get help in that situation, but it's never the fault of the person who is experiencing say violence or toxic behaviors from someone else. It's their responsibility to look at why they've accepted it. And I think that in itself is really misunderstood because it is driven by shame. And shame isn't necessarily an emotion, it's an identity. So people form identities around shame and they carry themselves with a deep unworthiness wound. And
shame is so heavy.
Yeah, it's a heavy, I think it's the heaviest thing you can carry, maybe next to grief in life. And yeah, I've journeyed quite deeply with shame and understood that that is where the self-worth work really happens, is meeting shame, meeting what it has to teach us. And I think, just talking about it to make it more normalized, that a lot of people feel shame in different ways, whether it's to do with unhealthy relationships or their habits or their things that they do in private and don't speak up about.
Yeah, I agree. I think, one of the most powerful things to do with shame that I've experienced in my life is talking about it. Because I feel like then you can kind of take the darkness away from it. Because it's not this scary thing that you don't want to share with anyone. Once you share it with people, people are like, oh, okay. Like, no one's like, how dare you, or how dare you think that, or why are you doing that? Majority of the time, people, are quite positive when you do open up about shame to them. But I think, once you start sharing some light on it, it really helps you, I guess, heal your relationship with shame.
Yeah, and I think that when people do say, if people are met with judgment or criticism around it, it's because of their own unprocessed shame and not feeling comfortable or safe to discuss it. And that again ties back to safety being really important when you are doing healing work or any sort of introspective journeying, is to develop a sense of self-safety, but also to start developing connections with people that are safe and that you can trust to bring those things to. Because if you continue trying to bring your healing to spaces that aren't safe and asking for that, like asking other people to change, like why can't they meet me, why can't they show up for me when they've shown you that they can't, then that also can be further damaging. So it's like, find the right people as well and get in spaces that people will see you and accept you and make you feel safe to share that and to be in that. Because the more that you feel it, it's that saying, feel it to heal it.
I like that one. Bit of a throwback.
Yeah, it is a throwback. The more that you feel it and show up for the emotion, the less heavy it starts to feel. And with shame, you can start to re-identify yourself with healthier identities rather than the shame-based one.
And like identifying environments and people that you can be safe to speak to, how have you identified that within yourself, of I guess knowing who are people that you can go to, or maybe environments that you can go to? Because an example is when you're doing the Feel to Heal, that was with Xavier, right? Like when you guys are doing that, like that was some of my favorite breathwork sessions that I did. I really enjoyed it because the environment just felt calm and safe. So that's just a great example of yourself, like how you have manifested safe environments yourself. But for someone like you who is manifesting that space for other people, how are you seeking environments yourself?
Well, when I reflect back, I think it just started with one person. And it's kind of like when you light the one match, all the other matches around it can light up too. It's seeking community, maybe putting yourself into new spaces, even if that can feel really daunting and uncomfortable, like having the courage to take the first step. It doesn't need to be a large step, but just like saying to someone that you need help. There's lots of resources out there. For myself, I think I went into a program with my mentor and now dear friend Nikki. Yeah, and she's been a massive guiding light in my life. So finding a mentor can be really helpful as well.
Awesome.
And from there, I think she just showed me what safety feels like, and I started to develop self-trust over time while doing the inner work, but also having a connection that believed in me and held me, made me start seeing the world as more safe and people as more safe. And so I wanted to embody that more myself. And so I asked myself, how can I create more of that? Whether that was creating events or just going to new spaces. And letting people approach me, or if I felt drawn to someone, going up to them.
Do you think like when you were doing the events, that really helped you because then you're like manifesting environments or people who are like-minded?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've met so many people through events. Yeah, like yourself.
Amen to that.
Yeah, events are pretty great for meeting new people and for developing community, because I think that right now more than ever we need community, and there's a big disconnect in the world at the moment. There's so much going on, and having safe community where you can be heard and feel supported is really important.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the things we deep down crave, all of us, is connection on some sort of form in life. And I think when you can go seek communities and environments is an important thing. And if you feel like your circle of people don't want to go and pursue the environments that you want to pursue, like, go do it alone. That was the best thing that I did when COVID first hit. Cool to be conscious, like stars in the Sunshine Coast. And I was like, I'm just going to go to this thing by myself. And I was wigging out. I was like, I don't know who I'm going to meet. I've never done breath work before. And I'm about to go sit on the beach with 200 people that I've never met. But then honestly, like, from going that first day, it did so much for me in terms of just social skills and getting out there and meeting people. Because I found that if I did bring someone with me, then I'd have someone to fall back on. Then I wouldn't, push myself to socialize with other people. And the other thing is, like, the amount of network and it gave me over the years, just from attending one event, which led to the next, with meeting this person, that person, and all these years later, we're sitting here doing the podcast.
I know, that's crazy.
It's crazy, like, it's crazy how convincing yourself to do one thing can change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah,
the trajectory of your life.
For sure, it just takes one moment, showing up with courage. And you're right in saying that connection is something we all seek. I think the two biological things that we really seek is connection and attachment. Connection being authenticity, because authenticity is what ripples out to attract and be attracted to what's meant for us. And attachment is just part of our human nature, but also learning to detach from things that aren't for us,
which can be tricky.
Yeah. So that again comes into that inner work of staying true to yourself and doing the work that you need to do to become or feel whole within yourself, rather than feeling fragmented. Because I find when people feel fragmented in their identity, they attach to the wrong things, or they attach to things that create addiction, because it's giving them meaning, and we're all seeking some form of meaning, I believe. Yeah,
100%. And like, talking about meaning and talking about connection, for me, like, I think I was acing, or felt like I was acing the connection with self and connection with others, but I felt like there was something still missing. Then I ended up realizing it was the connection with God. And then once I had that trifecta come into my life, I was like, all right, now things feel a lot more purposeful, things feel a lot more connected. Because I felt like, I was doing a lot with connecting with others, whether it's running events, whether it's doing the work that I do, whether it's my social life. Like, I feel like I'm always surrounded by people. But I'm also doing a lot of things for myself where I am connecting with myself. But there's still that one thing missing. And once I started seeking God, I feel like that really helped me heaps in terms of just connection all around.
Yeah, I definitely can resonate. Like, I'd say in the last year as well, for myself, my connection with God has really deepened, going through some experiences that they were so deeply challenging that leaning on myself was no longer an option. And while I had amazing friends, amazing support, people in my life that I trust so deeply, there still was this like feeling of like a hole in my heart that I was trying to fill again with relationships, or I think that was it at the time, was relationships. And I knew that I could no longer just put it all in myself. Like, I needed to look beyond self, beyond the external physical things we can see and attach to. It's like something greater. And I always had this connection with God, but it wasn't as strong as what I felt this one day when I was in the shower crying my eyes out, like on my knees. I was like, I'm in pain. This is a lot. I don't know what to do with it. And then I just felt this love pour into me. Wow. And I was like, what's that? And I distinctly heard a male voice. It wasn't my own voice. He's like, I've got you. I'm like, who's this? Who's got me?
Picking up the shower curtain. Like, what?
yeah. Who's there? And I just remember feeling so loved and so, safe. And like I didn't have to carry it all anymore. Yeah.
Wow. What a moment.
Yeah.
Like, what a moment. Like, when you think back of that, like, just that instant relief, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, though.
It is beautiful. And he's been speaking to me for a long time while I was in Italy. And when I came back from Italy, but in my humanness at times, I chose not to listen to things that I should have listened to. Yeah. But we learn.
Yeah, we live and we learn.
We learn, yes. And this is where that solidifying for me in trusting, firstly, God, but also the inner work that I'm doing to listen to myself has really paid off. And my sense of self-worth is not just rooted in something that's movable, because faith is not, can't be moved. It's firm. It feels to me like a firm foundation.
It's like unshakable.
Yeah, that's the word. It's unshakable. And when I was relying solely on self and like everyone's saying, oh, just love yourself. Like, I'm trying.
Trust me.
I'm trying. I've read all the books. Yeah. I've paid people thousands of dollars.
Done all the meditations. I've been meditating for a day straight.
Yeah. And I still wasn't feeling this self-love thing.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I feel it's a very strong harmony between working on yourself and also putting your faith in God and listening, like truly listening when you receive message, when you receive truth, not just your truth, not just, but I want to do this thing. Yeah. Because again, that can sometimes be self-deceptive if what we've known in the past has been unhealthy things. Like, just this one time. Yeah. I'll just do it one more time. Yeah.
That's a slippery slope.
It is.
Before you know, it's 30 times later.
Yeah. And so I feel having the balance of both is really important. And I want to circle back to what women can do to develop self-worth if they're not yet as well on a walk with faith and with God. Because I speak to women all the time. I work with women every day that are, they're just hurting. They're so in pain. And that hurts me to see. And a starting point for them, I think, is just being open to going and speaking to someone firstly. I feel it really strongly in my heart right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Take your time.
I see people breaking down daily, feeling broken. Yeah. And this is where I want to do more for people and for humanity and for women, and encourage them to get into spaces where they can be in their bodies. Because I think that a lot of women are scared to, and I'd probably say men too, I can't speak for men, but I can speak for women, that a lot of us are scared to be seen and be vulnerable, and that we need to start supporting each other more and being safe spaces for each other to be seen in our humanness, because the mental health of this world is on the decline, and it's very important now that we start speaking up about it.
Yeah, I agree. I can share a bit of context around the men's side of things. I feel like it's integrated within us men to just, keep the boat rolling no matter what. and not express yourself, not open up, not kind of not deal with your challenges. Instead, you just got to keep going. And I find especially as we become fathers, like we have to provide, we have to do all these things, and then that adds another layer of pressure. But then we still don't seek community. Now I've been thinking about like thousands of years ago, or hundreds and hundreds of years ago, when we were living in tribes and the men would go on in a pack to go and hunt. Like I'm sure, like surely they were talking to each other about challenges and like helping each other.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just a bunch of men going out there. But I feel like within today's day and age, men have seemed to lost that. It's probably one of them could be like environments, and that has influenced men to stop talking because it's started to add shame to it. But also the other element to it is like we're more socially isolated now than we have ever been. There's technology on the back end of the big C lockdowns and everything like that. I feel like now we're so disconnected, and we're not connected with others, we're not connected with self, we're not connected with God. And I find a lot of souls out there are lost. I think that's why it's important just to have these conversations in general, especially on the podcast, because we don't know whose ears that these are going to reach, or maybe when we meet with people after this podcast, just going through our life, having true, genuine conversations with people, rather than just, small talk's important, but also check in with people and see how they're going.
Yeah.
But that's what I find on the men's side. Like, I feel like socially we're ashamed, but also I feel like we're so disconnected just because the time that we're in life at the moment.
Yeah, and there's so much influence as well from social media and choosing sides as well.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big one.
Yeah, not only politically, but also just, I don't even know what the word is. Is it like socially or culturally?
Yeah.
There's this undercurrent of you need to be this way or that way, and there's division.
And that causes a lot of problems too, because it's like, if you have to be, the easiest way to explain it is in colours. So you have to be orange or you have to be purple. And it's like, I kind of like both colours. And it's like, no, you have to choose orange or purple. And it's like, if you get caught in that path in life, you're going to get so lost because you're like, all right, I have to choose orange. And you kind of have to like shame away and hide all the sides of yourself to like purple. But instead, it's like, you can like both sides of a coin. You can like both sides on political issues. You can like both sides on whatever it is in life. Like, I don't think we have to be pigeonholed to one side. Like, we can like things on both sides, and that's okay.
I agree. And I think that a lot of people are intolerant now as well to people being either one way or another, or being like, I like both.
Yeah.
And there's just so much extreme intolerance that we're seeing that contributes to this further division for men, for women. And then there's a whole industry now around relationship rules and how you should be as a woman, how you should be as a man, that everyone's confused. Everyone's disconnected, going, where do I belong? Because there's more focus on you should be this way rather than being authentic and relating through authenticity and kindness and compassion for other people. And you don't have to like them, you don't have to agree, but being authentic and kind and loving to each other.
That makes it more challenging too when the media like push the extreme sides of it, because it feels like that's all I see is just like the extremists on the left, the extremists on the right, and there's no common ground. And I find when you speak to people in day-to-day life, most people are just grounded in the middle. Like, most people are like, I don't care, like, as long as you're not doing harm to people, that's the main thing. But then when you go online, I think most of it is online. Like, online is just, it's bizarre. Like, sometimes I have to look at myself, I'm like, all right, I need to stop scrolling, for a bit, because it starts to affect you when you start seeing the things that are happening in the world, the things that happen in your community, seeing the disconnect, seeing the discourse, seeing the fighting, and it just starts causing like so much conflict within yourself. But then when I do go out and just speak to people on a day-to-day basis, most people are in the middle. But I feel like the media and online like to push the extremisms on both sides.
Yeah, I definitely have seen that as well. And yeah, I feel like social media is one of those tools as well that can be used for good or for harm. And so it's important as well to be mindful of how we're utilizing the tool or letting the tool use us.
Exactly. That's a good way to see it. That's it, because what you're saying is, it's like, it's not to push you off the path of things that we're doing where, like I'm creating content and it's like, all right, don't give up on the tool because there's probably bad things within the tool. Instead, try and contribute good to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, again, this could be a self-worth thing too for many people, or just their connection to life, using a tool as a distraction to avoid themselves, using social media to, well, firstly, it can just be straight up addictive, but I see that quite often, people that are struggling with self-worth. I've been there myself. It's like, how can I avoid facing this? Yeah, here's a tool. Like, here's a perfect tool to add to your list of like things that are going on internally. So doom scrolling or avoiding through, there's so many ways, like using drugs, alcohol, pornography, sex, like all these things that can have benefits. Not all of them actually, but things that are meant to be sacred, for example, like sex, being used as a way of avoiding. And
that's why I have a bit of fear for the youth, and especially I think now because I'm a father, I think a lot more about children and getting raised, and think about like my own child, because he's 9 months now and he's going to be nowhere near technology anytime soon, but there's going to be one day he's going to be online, and it's like, well, how can I curate it so it's a safe environment for him? Because you do know, like, once you have a phone in your hand, you can access like anything in the world. And I've been thinking about it, and then just as a thought example, and you might have ideas I haven't thought of, but it's just mainly things like just try and raise your children so do you know what's right or wrong, or do you know what to explore in life. That's my way of doing it. Instead of like restricting them on what they can do, and obviously I'm gonna put some sort of blocker so they can't just type in P-Hub, like jump on it and things like that. So I will put in those restrictions, but I think the main thing is like focusing on how you're actually raising your children.
And that one's also tricky in itself. So I'm not a parent yet, but I see my friends doing amazing jobs that are raising children, and I also see in society parents that are throwing iPads in front of their children's faces and just allowing them to completely be consumed by technology. And it's tricky because we do live in a world that now requires technology, but also finding that fine line of like, how is the kid being raised outside of using this device? Do they know how to navigate it in a smart way? And especially when their brains are developing, they don't know what they're being exposed to at a young age. And with so much going online, it's crazy that they can quickly be absorbing things that they probably shouldn't be seeing at a young age. And so their minds are just developing, and if they do have parents that are disconnected, or perhaps their parents don't have the tools to raise them well within themselves, they are now learning connection through a screen rather than with humans as their primary source of connection, which is really sad to think about, but it's also the way that the world is going. And so I think it's really important to bring this up and to address that on a bigger scale, that this is happening, and like what ways forward can we find for the youth, for parents, for men and for women.
I agree, because I don't think it's like resenting the thing itself. Instead, it's probably finding ways to teach your children to have healthy relationships with the thing as they grow older. Like, I still haven't figured out on what age I want my kid to get an iPad. In my mind, it's like, you're going to be 40. No, I'm joking. Definitely not in the first 3 years, I know that for sure. But I think, being a parent myself, like, you just try the best that you can with what you know. But then you obviously kind of doubt yourself a lot as well as a parent too, just because you want to make sure that you are raising this person right. Because one thing I realized, like, this person's whole life and how they're growing up is like relying on me. And in a way, it's like, it's empowering because you can have like attempt to have a positive influence, but then it's good too because it also makes you pull back the curtains and reflect on yourself and think, all right, is the morals that I have, is the values that I have, or the beliefs that I have, are they something that I'm truly, I guess, content with and somewhat proud of? And if so, are those the things I want to be an example of to my children? So I do think, being a parent has been a good thing in terms of, I guess, self-development with myself, because I constantly have to reflect on my actions and how I'm being an example to my child. But yeah, I don't know how we came down this topic, but
yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Well, I think it's all interconnected, right? It's a part of life, and the sort of the cycle of life, whether people choose to have children or not. But it's all connected. We grow up, have families, or some people choose not to. They choose to develop other relationships and then have children, and they pass on the patterns. So I see it as all interconnected, because if we aren't showing up for ourselves and doing that inner work for ourselves, then we are just passing that on to our children and to their children, and until someone steps up and goes, enough is enough, like I need to do things differently. So
and I think it's also like giving them the opportunity to find and develop their own identity as well,
to explore the world.
Explore the world. Because especially with faith, it's like, obviously I want to pray with my child and read the Bible and do all those things, but I also don't want to pressure him into having to pursue it if he doesn't want to. Like, I want him to go on his own exploration with God and faith when he's ready to as well. So it's that thing of like, don't pressure things onto your children, and probably just people in life. Instead, just provide them the tools and let them begin their own journey with the things that you provide them with.
I agree, and it's the same with like therapy and the people that I support. While not my children, like I'm just there as a guide to give them tools and to reflect things back to them and to show them a safe way to navigate their internal world rather than the outside world. So I'd say it's like quite similar in that way to maybe parenting, although it's a much more intimate experience, I'm sure. Than but yeah, you're just being a guide, and I think that's where parents, I think they're always doing their best with the knowledge that they have and the experiences they have, but also have a responsibility to always be sort of reflecting on themselves and how they're showing up, and how they can support their child in building that authenticity, building self-worth, and learning how to move through life with self-trust, because that's why I believe why we see this continued patterns of generational cycles of toxic relationships, of domestic violence, of addiction, abuse, all the things, is because it started somewhere and no one really had the tools to know how to stop the cycle. And now we are becoming more self-aware, we're speaking up about things, so there are more resources, there's more tools available for people to start unlearning what has been learned, even if it's a few things. Like, that's more than what the generations before did.
Yeah, you don't have to strip everything back on day one.
Well, you could try, but that's gonna be one ride. No, it's taken me a good 5 or 6 years of peeling back, and there's still, like, it's lifelong. There's still so much to do and to unlearn and relearn, but I think it's a journey worth exploring.
I agree.
And
with myself, talking about the pressure of being a parent, and if you are guiding them in the right way, I want to translate this into your line of work and how it relates to you. So when you are doing therapy and guiding people and helping people, I guess at the start, did you have any struggles or challenges with, am I doing this right, or do you currently face that? And if so, how have you, I guess, found comfort in your own ability to provide guidance to people?
Definitely found struggle initially. When I started, it felt super clunky, and like I was trying to follow a script or intellectualize it all. Because I knew things in my mind. I knew things, but actually living through experience and embodied experience is different. But you have to start somewhere. So when I started working with people, I threw myself in quite messily and just figured it out as I went along, and it continues to evolve as I do. But yeah, when I started, I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I also trusted the little sense of like, I'm meant to be doing this. I'm meant to be helping people, and that's enough.
Yeah.
And that has only just expanded and expanded over time. It's kind of like when you lay the first foundation of building a house, the brick, and then another brick and another brick, and eventually it builds a house. And yeah, I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do initially. Like, it was a big process, like the teaching yoga and breath work, and I was like, oh, this is leading me somewhere, but I don't know where. Like, I love helping people, I love guiding them, I love teaching. And then it continued to unfold, and that sort of fell away, but I still utilize breath work with my current clients and appropriate settings. And it's just sort of evolved over time. And the more that I've looked back at my own life experiences, I've gone, oh, it's always connected to myself, like my relationship with my self-worth. Why is that? And so I dived deeper and deeper and started looking at what drew me to certain things. And initially it was like things that would make me feel like validation. Yeah, so like having an audience of like people to see me and be like, oh, you did so great. And I was like, oh, but that doesn't feel true anymore, and that's why those things fell away. Now it's like, I want to serve from my heart, and that might not be clinical or textbook, but that's what's actually helping people. And so the people I help now, I take them through different methods based on what they're needing or where they're at, but a lot of it is just having genuine vulnerable conversations and then reflecting things back that I see that they may not see, and sitting in that discomfort together. Yeah. And what was your last question? There was another question about comfort, or
Yeah, so it's just more so like around like comfort within yourself in your ability to help people.
Yeah. So that all ties into what I shared is initially when I started, like, I did have low self-esteem. Like, I really was like, oh, what am I doing here? Had this imposter syndrome that was so extreme. It was like, you shouldn't be doing this, you don't deserve this, like, who are you to say this? And I think, like, building those foundations over time, showing up consistently, even though I wasn't really sharing it all on social media or with the world, I was doing that work for myself every day in my life. And I went from knowing, like, you can know something and not live by it,
That's
to
true.
now to now living by it, which I think is wisdom. Is like, it's one thing to say, oh, I know this thing, but do you live by it? Do you have the fruits of living by that? And that's now more so what I focus on than, are people seeing me do this thing? It's like, no, I'm actually living by this, and it feels good, and it feels authentic in how I'm approaching the people that I help.
I love that. I love what you just said there too, because I was similar for a long time with God. Like, I knew of God, but wasn't living by God. And I guess you could say neglecting to an extent. But then once I surrendered to it, that's when life got better. And instead of like, and that just translates with any other area of your life. Like, when you do have a knowing, like, put it into action as well. Because I do find, you'll find that things do improve.
Yeah, putting it into action, I think, is number one. But oftentimes people hold themselves back out of fear or doubt, and those things are always going to come up at different stages of your life. I remember mentors saying to me, they're like, what was it? New level, same devil, or something like that. It's basically to imply that no matter where you up level, you're going to have some level of doubt or something creep in, until eventually you are just so confident and unwavering in your belief. And I think this is where, like, faith can really help, is like just surrendering and trusting, like, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Otherwise you wouldn't be there. Like, God has that plan for you. They both tie in, is like, keep showing up, keep being consistent, especially with inner work. It's gonna have challenges. It's very up and down, and it reveals a lot to you. Life is not this like straight line that we want it to be.
As much as it'd be beautiful, but
Yeah. Well, I question that, whether it'd be beautiful, because it'd just be all the same.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, actually.
Yeah.
Think about that, because the reason the highs are so good is because we know what the depths look like.
Yeah, yeah. So it's, yeah, that's true. We know the depths, and we've met ourselves there. And so when we can meet ourselves in it, rather than run away and avoid it and surrender, especially with having faith, like God's plan is so much better for us than, well, from my experience, it's been so much better than what I initially had planned, of like, I'm going to be self this and self that and so self-focused. God's like, wait, let me transform your heart. And I was like, wait, I'm not ready. And in surrendering to that, I've actually just felt like a much deeper humanity. Yeah, and I think as well forgiveness for like not being taught how to connect with myself, not being taught what self-worth actually is, not being taught or modeled how to have healthy relationships. And yeah, find forgiveness, and through that actually start wanting to create that for myself, and also trusting others to create that too. And that's where I think we come into a sense of wholeness and union.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, faith. And also touching back on the confidence piece in your own ability as well. I find that, you know, confidence comes by giving yourself concrete evidence. And to begin with, in most things in life, especially if it's a new journey or a new path, you're not going to have confidence stepping into it to begin with. But we have to step. Well, a saying that I like is that you don't have to be amazing to start. You have to start so you can become amazing. But you have to start to begin with to get there. And I find a lot of the time we put too many expectations on ourselves to perfect something before we've even done it. Like before I started doing One Talk podcast, like all my days, like back in school, like I ended up getting kicked out in grade 11. But one part of it was because I never went to school. The second part was because I didn't do schoolwork. The main reason I didn't do schoolwork is because if I had to do a presentation in front of the class, I just would wag the class. Like there's not a chance in hell I'm speaking in front of people. And now I'm doing a podcast. Like it doesn't really make sense. But before I started the podcast, like how the heck am I even going to do this thing? Like I couldn't even speak in front of people, and I like then try to perfect the whole thing, and I end up just surrendering and saying, look, just start it. And figure out along the way, and then, you know, over time you gain confidence because now I've got a lot of evidence within my own mind and within my own self-belief, and also self-worth, like you're touching on before, that I've got that evidence now to prove to myself like I am capable, I can do this thing. But it all started just with starting the path and taking steps. And
that in itself is faith, because I think a lot of people are waiting for the evidence first. And if we wait for evidence before action, then I don't think we're going to have as much of a trust in life, because again, that's waiting on something like physical or external to show up before doing something. But when we take a courageous step, even a small one,
leap of faith.
Yeah, leap of faith. Faith as small as a mustard seed, to make the decision of doing one small thing differently. That's when other things start to naturally unfold as a byproduct, and then we do build evidence that we're capable of change. Like I wouldn't have guessed that where I am today, as opposed to where I was at 20 years old, would be possible. Like I was in such a dark place within myself, drinking constantly, and I would drink a lot and wouldn't feel much from it. And going out and hanging out with the wrong people and getting into situations that who I actually am now would never choose. And to have moved through a lot of that, also moving through things like anxiety, depression, and I had disordered eating and things like that, all were so deeply connected to how shut down I was inside and how little love I had for myself. And I thought that that was going to be my life. I thought that's all I was deserving of. And yeah, it's been a battle and an upward battle, but it's been a worthy battle. And then having God has just made it that little bit easier, or because I had that little bit of faith 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, in the last 7 years, to stay consistent, and if you look over a 7-year chart, the slope would be going up over 7 years. To stay consistent for that long, what's helped you the most? Because I was similar. When I was 20, I was in the darkest spot of my life. But one story I started to tell myself was the next 5 years are going to pass regardless. You'd rather do the work and try and better yourself, or you just live the same life. Either way, 5 years seems like a long time, but pray to God I'll live the next 5 years. So I might as well try and do something with the next 5 years. Was there a story or belief that you told yourself to stay consistent?
I think there were many. Initially, I wanted to give up. Admittedly, I was like, this is too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah.
But I always had this will within my soul that was stronger. And that's where I started to question and was like, okay, this isn't me. Like, this is something bigger than me that's holding me, and that will to keep going. I think that it was love. If I could encompass it into anything, it's like love for others, it wasn't even for myself at that point. It was like my love for other people, for God, for animals, for nature, for the beauty, like even little glimmers that I saw in between the dark moments, whether it was like one kind person or one small conversation. So I don't think there was like a mantra or any words that could do it. I tried all the affirmations. It's like they were only surface level. It was just this like deep, unwavering sense that like I was going to be okay underneath all that heavy and darkness. It was just like having a bit of hope and love that I think kept me moving forward. And then in terms of consistency, I think that just became a natural habit and like byproduct, like just keep showing up. Yeah, because of that little bit of faith and hope and love. And then I started to see more than a glimmer, and I'd see it everywhere. Like in my day-to-day life, I see more beauty than hurt now, and that's a testament to
One experience.
to all that faith and holding on to love and not letting the hurt consume me, even though there were times that it felt like it was.
That it takes me to my last question. It's the question I ask everyone on the poddy. But I'm assuming now, 7 years later, your definition of this has changed. But today, like, how do you define success?
It's definitely changed. Asked me that 7 years ago, it would have been money, riches, fancy things. Those things can be nice, but I define success by how authentic I am. The people in my life, like the quality of people, like do we support each other, uplift each other, love each other, empower each other, and my service to the greater good, to God and humanity. Yeah, if I'm showing up and making a difference in the world, whether it's small or large, and I don't really need evidence of the impact anymore. I just know that I'm giving from a true place. That to me is true success, and one day family as well. Yeah, to have family and to share that, and to share those values with, that'll be, to me, that's rich.
Amen. I agree with that. Well, Tay, thanks for jumping on the podcast. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, sharing your wisdom and your experiences in life. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. It was a pleasure.
Cheers.
It was a great chat.